Welcome to our first silly season with Thermomix. So we are hoping to give you guys some inspiration, some new recipes, and some tips around getting the most out of your Thermomix right throughout the busyness and the craziness of Christmas parties, barbecues, extra people at your house, going away, all of what the silly season might look like for you, which will be slightly different for all of you, different for me and for you as well. So we want to give you a little bit of a range of some tips and tricks and recipes that you can be using so that your Thermomix doesn't take a back seat during this period, but actually it's a second pair of hands that you can really, really lean on. Save time, save effort, save money, and cook healthy food right throughout that silly season. So we are going to kick off today with something called a 5-second traffic light salad. I love salads when it comes to summer. There is nothing better than sitting down to a really nice salad. We love barbecues, my family. So we'll often turn the barbecue on in the afternoon. We have sausages and steaks and all of that good stuff. And then we just have a nice salad to go with it. One thing I hated about your old garden salad was all of the chopping up. It was a few minutes there in the kitchen having to cut everything up. So with the Thermomix, I'm able just to throw it all in and do these beautiful chopped salads. But this one is particularly good for Christmas because it is red and green. Has anybody made this one before? It's called the 5-second traffic light salad. I'll pop the link up in the chat box in a minute once we get going. But if you've made this before, pop it into the chat box. It looks good. It does look good. All right, now, if you've ever cooked with me, you will probably know I'm a pretty loose cook. I cook with what I have on hand. I don't run out to the shops. I don't live near the shop, so I don't run to the shop to grab one ingredient or two ingredients. Cook with what I have. And I don't exactly stick to the quantities. So with this recipe in particular, where it is saying, you know, a certain amount of grams of carrot, for instance, I will just put in near enough, being a whole carrot or 2 whole carrots, rather than trying to stick exactly to the gram and having a little piece of carrot left over. Now that for me is smart cooking. It means I'm reducing my waste, I'm saving my time, and everything is going in. So with the Thermomix, it is super forgiving and it's really easy to do this. So don't feel like you're locked into the recipes and you're actually throwing out vegetables because you're needing to, you know, be a few grams over or under. So feel free just to use the entire of what you have, substitute for different things, and just cook as you usually would, but just using your Thermomix to make it easier. So you might have seen as we were just chatting and warming up the last few minutes, waiting for everyone to jump on, I was just preparing a few veggies. So this is literally 2 or 3 minutes worth of preparation, just chopping some veggies up. So I have in here 2 carrots chopped up into about 2 centimetre pieces. I've got 200 grams of red peppers. This is not an Aussie recipe, so it calls them peppers, but it's 1 nice big red capsicum. I've got about 200 grams of broccoli cut into florets, plus the stem. I love a recipe where I can use the stem. I actually cut the stems off. I have a really big stem and I save it for salads like this because you don't know that it's in there and it gets to use up that end piece without having to throw it out. So 1 big head of broccoli. I've got about 150 grams of apple. So that for me was just 1 apple. And I'm going to throw all of that in. All right. I have got a little bit of baby spinach. I had just a tiny little handful left that needed using. I'm going to throw that in there as well. Now, this calls for 30 grams of sunflower seeds. Some seeds in this are really, really nice crunch, or you could swap it for nuts as well, some walnuts or something similar. I'm just going to use a little mix. So I have chia seeds here, I have sesame seeds, and I've got some pine nuts. So I'm going to make up that 30 grams with some of these different seeds. I think adding nuts and seeds, or even some feta cheese, something like that, goat's cheese, it can really, really bulk up a salad and just take it to the next level so it doesn't feel like a boring old salad. It jazzes it right up. And that's what I'm going to do with this one here. So add in all these different seeds or nuts. All right, now we're ready to go. So this is an all-in-one salad. You literally throw everything in, including your dressing, and then give it a big chop. And the end result after a few seconds is a dressed and ready to go salad. If you have just jumped on, you're just joining us, we are making the 5-second traffic light salad. If you have made this, pop it in the chat box. But it is a fantastic red and green salad. Capsicum, broccoli, it's got all those beautiful contrasts. They look fantastic. I have a frozen piece of lemon juice here. So when lemons are in season, I tend to freeze them in ice cube. I juice them and freeze them in an ice cube tray. So then when they're not in season, like right now and through those summer months when you often want a piece of lemon or some lemon juice, I have ice cube trays or a bag of frozen ice cubes full of lemon juice, and I can just throw them in my salads and drinks and things like that. So if you're someone who likes to save a little bit of money or you like convenience, that can be a really, really good tip. Juice those lemons. You can even do it with orange juice as well. Juice your oranges when you have lots of them and freeze them in ice cube trays. There's a little bit of salt going in and a little bit of Dijon mustard. This is part of the dressing, about a little spoon. Part of the dressing, and it's what makes this salad a little bit special. So only a little bit, half a teaspoon of Dijon mustard, or 1.5 teaspoons, sorry. 1.5, I'll put a little bit more. 1.5 teaspoons of mustard. And a little bit of honey, a teaspoon of honey. So it has this yummy, sweet and salty dressing. And a little bit of pepper. So really, really household staples. You probably all have something similar like this. You might have a whole grain mustard instead of a Dijon mustard, but you probably all have really, really similar ingredients sitting in your cupboards already. You can get straight in and make this. So we have, if you can see through Zoom, nearly a bowl full. This is a massive salad. Everything's thrown in there. It's only taken me a couple of minutes. Put the lid on. And we're going to give this a mix at 4.5, and we're going to chop and toss all of this together. Brooke, I always recommend putting your dressing on later if you're going to serve it the next day. I'm actually going to try with this one, popping some into, I'm just looking around, I don't have any left. I'll have to swap some of my veggies around. But I'm going to try our new vacuum seal containers because I haven't had much luck with dressing my salads. Yeah, dressing my salads and then serving the next day. But I'm going to give it a go in the vacuum seal tonight and see how it is tomorrow because this is going to be dressed. I want to eat it tomorrow. And I'm really keen to see how it works in the vacuum seal container. So I'll get back to you on that one. But yeah, I would, if you're going to serve it the next day, I would mix up the dressing the following day and toss it through. But I will give you feedback. I'll let you know how it goes in the vacuum seals because I've been really impressed so far how well they've kept things fresh. Now, that is our salad done. One quick mix together, a few seconds, and we're done. And it isn't a super, super fine chopped salad. There's sometimes when you have lots of Thermomix salads, they're quite finely grated. This one is nice and chunky. Now, if you preferred it finer, you of course could give it another few seconds and it would chop down a bit finer, but it's a pretty decent amount of salad. That's nearly 2 litres, 2 litre capacity. So a nice big bowl of salad. If you wanted to add goat's cheese or feta or something else to it, you absolutely could, and that would bulk it out a little bit more. But even as it is like this, it is a pretty damn good salad. Super, super quick and easy. And you can see how it's beautiful in red and green. So a perfect one around Christmas time with those beautiful colours. So that's our first one. 5-second traffic light salad. Now, what I'm going to do is bring a video up for you guys quickly. Give me 1 second. And let me see if we can. All right. Now, if you guys can't hear this, please let me know. Someone will need to come off mute and let me know because I can't see the chat box. So just give me a little bit of feedback. If you can't hear it, please don't sit there in silence. Let me know. But fingers crossed, it all works good. This is a beautiful little shortbread video from Shannon. She is on here and she's going to have a little chat to us about these once we've watched the video.
We are going to make some shortbread. This is Christmas shortbread. It's fantastic. It's super easy. It's wonderful for Christmas gifts. I made it last year for our teachers, and at the very end, you dip them in chocolate, and they taste amazing, and they look really pretty. So it's super easy. Preheat the oven, line a baking tray, and we're going to add 440 grams of white rice and 60 grams of raw sugar, and we're going to mill that together. It doesn't take long at all, and it's going to come out super fine. Here we go, beautifully milled. And then what we're going to do now is we're going to add the rest of the ingredients. We're going to mix them, and then it's going to knead together. So as you can see, adding flour, adding some butter. We're going to mix it for 5 seconds, and then we're going to use the kneading function, and that is just going to mix it into a lovely dough. And then the trick to this particular recipe is that once you've got it into that dough, what you do then is you make it into a log shape and roll it in Glad wrap, put it in the fridge so it sort of sets, and then you cut to then cook. And this is the end result. Dip in white chocolate, and it's
Do you guys all
It's lovely.
see that okay?
I did that last year. I did it for teachers' gifts, and one of my son's teachers, apparently she ate them all in one sitting. Um, but they're really great, guys. They look really lovely because they've got the pistachios and the cranberries, so they're red and green. Then you dip them, just half the biscuit in white chocolate. And what I did was then I put them in nice little jars, made them look a little bit pretty. And it's a super easy, inexpensive Christmas gift that is really thoughtful. I've got a few friends that are teachers. My mum's a teacher. There might be some teachers on tonight. I know some of the things they say is at the end of the year, they do get a lot of mugs or chocolates or that kind of thing. So the kids and I made these up, and it was lovely. It's from the heart, and it wasn't too expensive. And we got some wonderful feedback. So not only is this particular idea a really good one, like I said, for gifts or for neighbors or, for Christmas Day, but absolutely something a little bit thoughtful. We made them for the kids' teachers, and then we also made them for the bus driver as well. So the boys catch a bus every day. So we made some for him as well. So that's something to think about too with using your Thermomix. If you guys jump onto Cookie Do, have a look at all the Christmas collections. So there's some really great recipes that you can be making for Christmas, and make sure you're saving them into Cookie Do so you can create those recipe collections. Have a Christmas one. It's going to make it super easy for you to then pull it up and use, and have a think about things that potentially you could be making. I mean, let's face it, everything's a bit expensive at the moment. The groceries especially, coming to the end of the year when you're already buying presents and all of that kind of thing, it's really nice idea to be able to do something like that that's handmade, that people are going to really appreciate.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Shannon, for making that video and sharing your tips there. If you are wanting some inspiration on making hampers as well, we have the last 2 years done a hamper class online, and we popped them up onto our YouTube channel. So if you want to jump on there and have a scroll through, we had tons and tons of ideas as well. And in our Life Changers community group on Facebook, if you search hampers in there or have a scroll back through, we have lots of posts from last year as well. But we'll, of course, have new ones this year around making hampers, because they are so good. Whether it just be one individual gift, like a jar of shortbread, or whether, like Beck just said, making a little treat box with a whole bunch of different things in it, you can really, really get creative. And I can say as well that teachers absolutely do love it because they do. They get these stock standard presents all the time. And so when you give them this beautiful homemade bundle, they really, really appreciate it. It's something a little bit different as well. So what I'm going to make now is something that you also may like to put in a hamper. I tend to make a few different sauces like this. I'm lucky to have 2 Thermomixes in my kitchen. So coming into this silly season, I tend to have a Thermomix going nearly all the time. I make dinner and I pop something like this on in my other Thermomix while we eat, or while I'm washing up, while I'm doing things. There's nearly always something cooking, and it means that I end up with these, all of these jars of different things. And when it comes to putting presents together, I just grab different jars and assemble a little present. So this is something I make, I think, nearly every year. It is always a hit. It has got cream in it, so I don't make it a long way out from giving gifts, but it is fantastic. So this is called the caramel sauce. Now, when you all started off, you said you all had a TM6, which is fantastic. This is one that needs a TM6 to be able to make it. So if you have a TM5, unfortunately, you can't make this exact recipe, because we need to use the sugar stages and that really, really high heat to get those flavors in and actually set the caramel. So this sets, when it sets in the fridge, it goes like a bit like a firm sauce. And then if you want to pull it out and melt it down a little bit or warm it up, then it goes back to a nice, runny drizzle. But having those sugar stages is what allows it to do that, rather than it just being that sort of basic caramel that you could make at the lower heat. So very, very simple. We're going to press start cooking. You'll get a little warning screen if you haven't done any sugar work before, just to tell you that you need to stick to the quantities, because this is going to be very, very, very precise in the degree of heat that it gets to. So if you go try and double the recipe and things like that, it just won't work properly. So these high heat stages, you do want to stick to the recipe pretty close. It does give you the option, though, to use raw or brown sugar. This is where you'll get the different flavors in it. So brown sugar will give you more of a darker caramel flavor. The raw sugar, or even a white sugar, will give you a lighter flavor. So you can play around with the different sugars, and depending on the different flavors that you like. I'm using raw sugar. And now we put in a 30-gram piece of unsalted butter, nice and cold, and all in one piece. Now we pop in about 70 grams of cream. I'm going to tip this in. We put in a little bit of water, 30 grams of water. This calls for a teaspoon of lemon juice. I actually leave the lemon juice out. And now we pop our lid on. Lid on. And because we're using that high heat, we're going to use our splash guard as well. I'm going to pop this on top. Done. And we're going to turn the wheel. And then this goes on to set. We've got a little bit of time now while this gets to the right temperatures. To begin with, it just sounds like a normal Thermomix going. It's just turning those blades around and heating. But after a few minutes, it will stop and it will bubble. And it will mimic as though you are cooking with a saucepan on the stove. You know, when you maybe made toffee or caramel or honeycomb or something similar like that, one of those type of sauces or sweets on the stove, and it has to bubble away. It has to bubble, but not too hot that it burns the bottom, hot enough that it sets. It's a really, really tricky temperature, one that I'm certainly not very good at hitting. But with the Thermomix, it is going to take it to that temperature and it's going to keep it there for just the right amount of time. I am hands-free. I don't need to be here with it. It's just going to cook it away and have it perfect, and it'll tell me when the next step is up. So while we have a little bit of time, I have got another little video to show you, another little thing that you might like to make. But if you haven't had a read in the chat box, there are some great tips in there. Our YouTube channel is in there. Our recipe for the Christmas shortbread is in there, so you can jump in there and have a bit of a look. I've currently got the caramel sauce cooking away if you want to have a look at that on Cookie Do. But before we do anything else, I want to know from you guys, what is the hardest part about the silly season when it comes to cooking? Do you struggle with inspiration of recipes to make? Do you struggle with time? How does your Thermomix usually go? I know a few of you guys on here have had a Thermomix for Christmas before. How have you found it? Has it been helpful? Has it been not helpful? Was it overwhelming? Was it a great pair of hands? How did it go for you? Pop it in the chat box, or you can come off mute and let us know. But I'd love to know a bit of how did it work for you, and then how can we help you to have a better Christmas, or a good first Christmas if you haven't had one before this year. All right. Great to help with prep on the day. Fantastic. Absolutely. Sometimes even the little things like steaming veggies and making gravy and custard and that sort of thing, whipping your cream, doing your pavlovas, it can be so good for those little things. Oh, what caramel sauce? It's called caramel sauce. It is I'll quickly find it. I've got it just here. One sec. Here we are. Need food inspiration. Peeling spuds. Yes, great for peeling spuds. All right, well, what I'm going to do is quickly open up my cookie dough. Now, a bit like Shannon, I have some Christmas Christmas collections that I have made. I'm going to just find one for you and jump in there and have a little look at it. There is it. I've got so many collections here. Just trying to find a Christmas one. Here we go. So for a little bit of inspiration, keep popping these things in. Your very first Christmas, Casey, and it's going to be Christmas at your house. Very awesome. Well, I hope you get some tips. How are you feeling going into Christmas? What things are you feeling like you're going to use the Thermomix lots for prep or for making certain dishes, or what do you think? Mandy runs flat out leading up to Christmas and making things for Christmas. Yes. Have to make 14 good on the day, making brandy, custard, gravy, white sauce. Fantastic. All right. Certainly sounds like yours is busy. Mine are a little bit similar. Always make your pavlova base. Absolutely. All right. Let me share my screen. If you're after some inspiration, I hope this is a little bit helpful. So I created this collection probably a couple of years ago, and then I've just added to it. And what I will do is go back and add more to it this year, both as I find recipes, but also as new ones have been added. We have the Thermomix magazine that has just released. I've been flicking through that today, and there's a few recipes in there that I thought that would be awesome for Christmas or for hampers, and I haven't seen that one before. So whenever I see a new one, I pop it in this folder, and then it means I have a folder of almost 40 recipes here that are great Christmas things. So a lot of these I make as hamper gifts, things like the chutney, lemon curd, and spice rubs. I love making some spice rubs. They're great things to use around Christmas because you can use them for your meat when you are having barbecues on Christmas Day. But then you can also gift them out. And they're one of those really, really cool gifts because most people, you don't have a Thermomix. You don't have a way to mill spices down. And you can use a mortar and pestle, but it's very hard and it certainly won't do the quantities like a Thermomix will. So that ability to make those beautiful fresh spice rubs and gift them out is pretty unique, but also so easy for us. But different things here like the nougat, hot chocolate bombs, they're always ones that my kids love to make gifts. Chutney, fudge, a Christmas cake. I made my first Christmas cakes last year, which was very exciting. There's lots and lots of things here. Rocky Road, sesame snaps, vanilla sugar, so much in here. Now, what I'm going to do is just see if I'm able to jump out of here of sharing for a second. I'm just going to see if I'm able to share my whole folder with you. Give me one sec. If I pop this into here and see if this will work for you guys. I want to see if you're able to open that. You may be able to access that whole Christmas folder. Let me know if it works or not.
Yeah, it works, Joe.
Awesome. Fantastic. All right. So while we are quickly in Cookie Doo, you should be able to open that up. You should be able to save it. So if you want a little bit of inspiration for hampers and snacks and Christmas goodies, use that folder if you would like. I think I've made all of them in there. But the other things you can do when it comes to searching for your cookie dough, searching for your recipes, you can toggle up here to your collections, and then you can type in here Christmas. Whoops. All of a sudden, you're going to see entire books, entire collections of Christmas recipes. This is a pretty cool place to start. You can pick out one of these, have a good look through, and then you can take some of these, save these into a folder. But there's all sorts of things in here, and you're probably looking at some of them thinking, I would never have thought to make that. If you're after something specific like salads, you might want to just search that straight from recipes. Type in here some salads, just see what comes up. Look at some of them. Even things like potato salad you can make. There are some beautiful things in here. So again, if you're needing to take salads to barbecue, if you're having people to your house on Christmas Day and you're thinking, I need salads, rather than just doing your old standard ones, have a look at some of these on Cookie Dough and pick a few out to make. It's so easy to menu plan and create collections, do your shopping list and all that sort of thing with Cookie Dough. So utilize it around those busy periods and let the Thermomix, let Cookie do a little bit of the work for you. I've seen a few people mention pavlova. Something I wanted to do tonight, but we just weren't going to have enough time, is pavlova. You can see here there are quite a range of pavlovas you can do. Has anybody here made pavlova? Besides Bex, you said you already had. Has anybody else made pavlovas in their Thermomix? Have you done them around Christmas? Have you done them at a different time? I made my very first ones earlier this year. Never made pavlova as such, and I couldn't believe how they turned out. I made little mini pavlovas, and they were awesome. Something I've seen is a little bit trending at the moment is a pavlova board, where you make a bunch of little pavlovas and then you put a whole range of toppings with it. So things like this caramel sauce, chocolate sauce, marshmallows and strawberries and all those yummy things that you might like to have with pavlova. And it's like a grazing board, but it's a sweet one. So that could be something really fun to do around Christmas or around the silly season. But anything in here that you're looking for some inspiration, have a search in Cookie Dough and just see what comes up. You can get so much inspiration just from having a look through here. I do have to say, one of the most cost-effective things for feeding a crowd that you can do with your Thermomix is bread. It is so cheap to make bread goodies, pull-apart breads and rolls and scrolls and things like that. They're so cheap to make and they feed a whole lot. And if you, there's a little bit of time involved in terms of proofing and things like that, but really your hands-on time on the day is not very much at all. Have a bit of a think about how you're going to, do it. If it has an hour proofing, what else can you be doing? All those sorts of things. But doing a couple of different bread things can be a great way to feed a crowd, fill everybody up, and it is really, really cheap. And there's all sorts of different pull-apart breads. There's a tear and share. These are very, very cool. Something we generally do at our Christmas class is the hazelnut brioche. This is very fancy. We'll be making this at our cooking class in a couple of weeks and we do it in person. Is our chocolate hazelnut brioche. So there is so much that you can do with Cookie Dough. It is really just a matter of jumping in there, having a good look around. Gingerbread cookies are also fantastic. Whether you're just making a plain gingerbread batch of gingerbread cookies, or whether you're doing a house like we do every year. This is one of my kids' most favorite things, is to make a house and decorate it. So one of those fun little Christmas traditions, again, always a bit of fun to have out as well. So have a bit of a browse through Cookie Dough, find some new recipes, save them now, and have them ready to go. So when that silly season hits, you're all prepared and you can really get the most out of your Thermomix. Alrighty. Just having a quick little look. Yes, the herb and garlic pull apart, Beck, has to be one of my favorites for when we are entertaining or when people are over. We do lots and lots of that herb and garlic pull apart, but it is so yummy. It's absolutely delicious. All right, now I have another little video for you. This one is of a caramel macadamia slice. This is another one where you may want to make it ahead of time. You might want to gift this out. You might want to have it on the lunch table on Christmas Day. You can do a lot with this. Now, one of our beautiful consultants has made a video so that we can share this, because she's also not able to cook tonight. So give me 1 second just to bring it up. All right. Again, if you can't hear this, please hang out. I'm going to share this with you guys.
Hi, today we're making caramel macadamia slice. First, we're going to weigh in our chocolate and our macadamia nuts. Now we're adding butter, brown sugar and golden syrup into the bowl, and we're melting it for 5 minutes on speed 2 at 90 degrees. Next, we're adding the oats, the coconut and the self-raising flour. And we're mixing for 10 seconds speed 6. The mixture is now transferred into a slice tin, and then we put this into the preheated oven at 180 degrees for about 10 minutes. Meanwhile, we're going to clean out our bowl. We're using this new setting on the TM6. It's called pre-clean, and it's going to make the bowl nice and shiny. Once we take the mixture out of the oven, we're covering it with chocolate and macadamias, and we're adding condensed milk over the top of it. And then it all goes back into the oven for another 15 to 20 minutes, or until nice and golden brown. It should look a little bit like this, and if you make it, I hope you like it.
Has anybody made that one? What have we got? Could get a little bit dangerous. Well, this is the fun side around Thermomix, is making all these delicious goodies. They're so easy to make with Thermomix. I love to make them around Christmas time when I have more people around to eat them, rather than through the rest of the year when I tend to eat them all. So I do lots of my sweet baking around Christmas time. But remember, whilst these things are great to get on here and show you, so much of your good, healthy prep can also be done with the Thermomix. So if you are thinking, I don't want to just use my Thermomix for sweet things, really jump in and have a look at what sort of other meals can you be doing, what quick things can you do, how can you use your Thermomix to also cook those really healthy, veggie-dense meals. I want to share with you guys a little collection whilst you're on the train of looking for some healthy things. There is a really nice collection which is done by Sam Wood. He did a little bit of work with us a couple of years ago. He's a personal trainer, and these recipes are all really healthy, and they're all done in about half an hour. So they're pretty quick. There's 16 recipes in here. There's some ones that have just been added in recently, but these are all really, really healthy. They're veggie packed. They've got lots and lots of nutrients. And there's all sorts of things here, from smoothies to a raw Snickers slice. Now, if you're looking at them all thinking these are all so sugar packed and high dense, make some really healthy things as well. This one is a raw Snickers slice. It is absolutely delicious, and it's got no, processed sugar, butter. It hasn't got any of those things. It's all natural ingredients. Obviously, like anything, you've still got to have it in moderation, but it is a really good way to break up those really heavy sugar dense snacks. So this is the folder. I'd suggest go and save this if you're looking for some nice healthy things to make. But from butter chicken to this sticky chicken, this is a great one if you want to make a bigger batch of meat and a bigger batch of veggies. You can even make extra of the topping and bake it in the oven if need be, so you have more. You can do a bigger, bulkier amount, or however you need to do it. But they're all just beautiful, fresh and light. This one here is a favourite of mine. I had it for my lunches last week. Again, it's so easy to throw together, so delicious. I had it hot, cold. It was absolutely fantastic. But look at the colors and the things packed in there. So don't disregard the Thermomix for only being good for your sweet things. It certainly does make great sweet treats, but it does some beautiful, beautiful, fresh, healthy food as well. These are a couple of other ones down the bottom. This is a sugar-free salted peanut butter fudge. This is delicious, and it only uses a handful of ingredients. Again, a really, really good alternative. And these blondies, you wouldn't even know these were healthy. They are really, really yummy. They have blueberries in them. So there is plenty you can do. A couple other collections I like while we are talking healthy things is Louise Keats. Now, Louise is a dietitian, and she's all around healthy cooking. So we jump in here. There are 4 whole different collections here. Some are bigger, some are small, but again, all really, really good gut health, conscious, and really healthy veggie packed dishes. All sorts of things in here. This one here being Sweet Nourish. This is all different sweets, but again, all made on the healthier side with alternative ingredients. So absolutely jump in and balance out what you're doing. Don't do all sugar packed unhealthy things. Jump in and mix it up and do some of these really yummy ones. And you'll be surprised. My kids love things like the pumpkin loaf or the baked pumpkin donuts, even the zucchini banana loaf. They're just little tiny swaps in there, but just getting those, veggies into a banana loaf, swapping some of that sugar out, changing those things around. They're still really, really yummy, but have a little bit more nutrition in them as well. So plenty of really, really yummy recipes in here as well. It's just a matter of knowing where to look and having a bit of a browse through. So some of these you might have come across before and not realized they were a healthier version until you actually looked through. So sometimes just having that little bit of knowledge can be a little bit helpful for you as well. All right. Yes, mushroom and kale risotto. Yum. I'm loving this idea, Mandy. You do little mini pads, top it with whipped cream, with little rose water on top of the cream, chopped up homemade Turkish delight and pistachios, drizzle it over raspberry coulis and top with some fairy floss with some fresh raspberry around them. That sounds absolutely amazing. Amazing. Very, very, very cool. Now, my caramel sauce has a little bit longer to go. It's a bit of a longer one, this one. So we're going to let it keep on going down. Now, once it finishes all together, what we're going to do is add a bit of cream and give it another bit of a cook. Not right up in those high heat sugar stages, but drop down a little bit lower. It's going to cook for a little bit longer. We'll add a little bit more cream, cook it for a bit longer, and then we're left with this beautiful, beautiful light caramel sauce. So we'll let this one finish off. Going into the silly season, what other questions have you got? Is there anything that we've missed that you're thinking, I wish that you covered off this. I wish we had some ideas around this. Or anything else that we can help you with going into the silly season. Pop it into the chat. Or if you have any other great recipes that you think are really, really handy, again, pop that into there. We'll give you guys a minute to do this, and then we're going to quickly jump back into cookie dough for a second. Now, we also have a couple of cookie dough sessions that run every month. And these are opportunities for you to jump on Zoom and learn a lot about cookie dough and how to better find recipes that suit you and all that sort of stuff. It is really, really worth jumping onto one of the sessions and learning the ins and outs of it. A lot of people have cookie dough, use cookie dough, but maybe don't use it to its full potential because you just don't quite realize, how you can use the filters and do those different things. So it's really worth jumping onto one of those sessions. You'll find them down on our link tree. Jump onto the next one and learn a little bit about just finding your way around cookie dough as well. I don't have any ideas, Brooke, but someone else might. If you have an idea of how to use marrow, pop it in the chat box or come off mute and let us know. Brooke is looking for some inspiration. All right, while we have a few minutes left, I am going to open up cookie dough again. I'm going to give you one other quick tip that I use a lot coming into Christmas or any busy season really, whether this be looking for healthy recipes or just in my general meal planning. something that I tend to do is, I'm going to just toggle back here to recipes again. When it comes to looking for meals, so if I'm going into this week, I need some quick meals. I know that I have afternoons where I've only got less than half an hour to make dinner. I need some really quick things. So if I jump in here to my filters, I can break these down a little bit and get really specific about what I want. This means that the pool of recipe suggestions to me are going to be much smaller, and I won't be seeing all these things that I don't want to see. So, for instance, if we jump in here and I'm looking specifically for dinners, I'm going to go along and just select what suits my family for the week. And that might be pasta and rice dishes, and that might be main dishes with meat. It might be main dishes as a vegetarian, and maybe it's main dishes with fish too, because we don't mind seafood, and other main dishes. But I'm leaving everything else out. I don't want any baking. I don't want any soups. It's not winter time now. I'm going to leave everything out. Just select those ones that are relevant to me. Now, ingredients. This is a really good place if you are, saying at the moment, I have pumpkins coming up my ears. I just have pumpkins growing in my garden. I can't get rid of them. I have so many. Go in here and you can click pumpkin. Say, there you go. So already I'm getting a whole bunch of recipes together that use pumpkin. Now, the tags, think of it a bit like a hashtag. So that is where you might want to tag it gluten-free, tag it family-friendly, or quick dinner, or different things like that. The same thing with ingredients. As you start to search, you'll see all these different things pop up, and you can just select what one is relevant to you. And you don't have to do all the fields. You can just do the ones you like. You've got your difficulty, easy, medium, or advanced. So again, do what suits you here, depending on how confident are you with the Thermomix, who's going to be helping you make dinner. If you have maybe the kids are going to be on dinner Tuesday night, you might just want to pick something really easy so that you're not worrying about them struggling to cook it. You can use that difficulty, but these ones here are the lifesavers, and this is your prep time and your total time. So when I'm looking for quick meals throughout the week, I want less than 15 minutes prep time, and I want under half an hour total time. I need really, really quick things throughout the week. So I'm going to click those two filters. Portions, again, depending on your family size, you can adjust these here. I'm actually going to show you, once we've done this, just how to scale a recipe as well. So hold that thought there. Now, when it comes to Thermomix version, if you have a TM6, don't worry about clicking a version here at all, because you can cook everything. If you only have a TM5 or if you only have a TM31, then tick those boxes, because you can't do everything a TM6 can do. TM31 can't do everything a TM5 can do. So that way you don't get those conflicting recipes where you click on them and then go, oh, bugger, I can't make that, so I don't have the right model. But don't worry, the TM6 can do everything. So if that's what you have, leave that one there. And then your language, English, and I've got my countries nice and open. And that's usually one of the first things we do as we set your cookie dough up with you. So if you're confused about that part there, please reach out to your consultant, they can help you. But I'm going to go here for show these results and have a look at this. Now remember that we clicked pumpkin in here, so let's refine our search right down. If I jump back in, and I'm going to get rid of pumpkin and have a look, now we've got nearly 500 dinners. So that made it very, very narrow. But let's have a look in here. These are all meals that can be done under half an hour, under 15-minute prep time, and they're all main meals. So now you can go through here and pick some out that you would like. It's really, really easy to do. And again, do this with salads. Do this with snacks or sweets or whatever they are. Do it all however you want to do it, but it will help you find recipes that are relevant to what you want to search for much faster. So use those filters to your advantage. Now, if you do find something in here, let's click on this one and just have a little look. Say we have a look at this one and say, oh, this looks really, really good. It serves 4 people. So click here. Now, let me find one that's already been done, so it makes sense first, and then we'll go back to that one. Let's try this one here. Your portion size, that one hasn't been done either. Let's see. So what I'm looking at here is some recipes have been scaled in cookie dough, which means that they have been made bigger and smaller, and they've been tested. so that when you go to cook them, it will say, you know, you can make this bigger or smaller, and it'll give you an exact amount. That one hasn't been done either. Goodness me. Where are some that have been? Maybe this one? Nope. I can't find any. Maybe this one. Here we go. So when it has been scaled, and more recipes are being scaled on Cookie Do, this is where I can say this currently serves 6, but I only want to serve 2. So I'm going to click here, and it's going to adjust this entire recipe back to 2 servings. So it's adjusted my ingredients, adjusted all of my steps and cook times as a tried and tested recipe. So this again is a great thing to be using coming into the silly season when you're busy going, I don't want to cook something for 6, I only want to cook for 2. Or this only serves 4 and I want to stretch it bigger and make it serve 6 or 8. So how do I do that? Now, when you find something that hasn't been done, like we were just looking at, jump in here. So this hasn't been done yet. What this will do is this will give me a little calculator. So it'll say, I haven't actually tried and tested this one for you, but I'm going to give you estimates on what you should probably do. So we're going to click Make It My Own, and it's going to give me, we're going to press Start. And here we go. So currently it makes 6 portions. If you wanted to stretch and feed 8, it's going to increase it all by about 33%. And I can say even serve 9. So I'm now getting a massive amount of food out of this recipe just by doing this. So again, it's just going to be an estimate. So you will need to, possibly things might need a little bit longer to cook or whatnot, but it has adjusted here cook times and all of our ingredients as well, just as an estimate going off a 50% increase. This one here is in a tried and tested. But then if we press save, this recipe is now saved as this same warm Mediterranean couscous salad, but it now feeds 9, and you can make it that way. So that is the scaling of recipes and how you can do it. My caramel sauce is just done, so I'm going to jump back in here. If any of that was confusing at all, or if you have any questions, please call them out. If you haven't done a lot with Cookie Do, some of that might just feel a little bit confusing. So please don't sit there thinking you don't know anything. You just haven't been shown it before. Now, this is my caramel. You can see in here, it is all, whoopsie daisies. You can see my screen. It is all bubbly and beautiful in here. We're now going to add in 180 grams of cream, or between 130 and 180, depending on how you like your caramel. I'm going to go closer to the end. All right. Now we leave the measuring cup off for this part. We pop our lid on. We're going to just turn that wheel just a little bit. So this is just going to drop that temperature now. It's been up really, really hot, bubbling away, almost caramelizing. And now we're going to add that cold cream in, and we're just going to slowly stir it around. This is going to drop that temperature and not curdle that cream at all. Going to cook just for a minute, and then we're going to give it a stir and a bit longer. Now, for those of you who are on tonight, who of you have used sugar stages before on your TM6? Have you made any high heat sauce or honeycomb or anything like that before? Now I'm just having a quick look in here. I tend to refrigerate this one, Shannon. However, I gave this out last year as gifts. I vacuum sealed it, so I put it into sterilized jars. I put the lid on while I was still really hot, to the point where the little seal on the top of the lid popped in, so they were fully sealed, airtight, and they actually lasted really well. So I actually put them in hampers cold like that, and I just let them know. I said, look, that sauce does have a cream in it, so, you know, get it into the fridge, certainly once you open it and whatnot. But they left that for, you know, they were fine for a week or so without having to go in the fridge. So, but I wouldn't just keep it, say, in a container. It certainly will go off in a container. But yeah, if you can have the jars sterilized, get that lid on while it's really hot and have all the air out of it, have them airtight, then it does keep pretty well. Now, can you do this in a TM31? No, Mandy, you can't. This one here is a high heat. with the sugar stages, it has to be in a TM6 in order for it to get hot enough to make this one. You can make different lower heat versions of caramel sauces and things, but they won't be quite like this one. There's a TM6 specific one here. Yeah, fantastic for gifts. And there's all sorts of ones. I've made bourbon sauces. I've made, there's a chocolate caramel mud sauce. There's all sorts of different sauces you can make. So again, we're just giving this a little stir around now. Gonna stir a little bit of that nice thick caramel off the sides. Looking good. And now it just gets a little bit longer. And it's all done, ready to pour into a jar. All right. Yeah, so what we found with the Thermomix is as they progressed, the TM31 couldn't get as hot. The TM5 can get to 120 degrees, but the TM6 is where they were able to make it with the technology to get it right up to 160 degrees. So these sugar stages up here are specific to the TM6, and the other ones just not able to withstand that big the big high heat. So it is one of those advantages to the TM6 are these beautiful, beautiful sauces that you can do. Now, in terms of scaling recipes, was that helpful for any of you, or are you all over it and you're doing all of your own scaling as it is? Let me know in the chat box. Did you learn anything? So helpful. Okay, great. You broke your scale all the time. Fantastic, fantastic. When it comes to getting your Thermomix, sometimes you get your Thermomix, you have your delivery and you get cooking, and there is so much to learn that we don't go through all these little bits and pieces of cookie do because it would just be information overload for you. Does that make sense? So that's why we run these classes. That's why we encourage you to have a learning demo or an advanced demo down the track to learn these other bits and pieces. Because cookie do really, it's almost an entire platform, an entire thing to learn all on its own, but it's too much to learn all at once. So play with your Thermomix, and that's why we have our online cookie do sessions where you can join in and just learn all the ins and outs of cookie do, because you'll be surprised how much is in there that you can do that you just didn't know, and you had no idea cookie do was even capable of doing those things. I love cookie do too as well, Brooke. I'm just grabbing out a little jar to put my sauce in. If you are using a glass jar, just to make sure that it's nice and warm. So depending on your recipe, I actually can stick mine up there and let the steam from my caramel sauce often come up and fill the jar, depending on how long it has. This isn't going to have very long up there to warm up. But you often can sterilize your jars up in the Varoma, get them nice and hot and clean that way. But if you're going to be popping in a really, really hot sauce into a jar, make sure that your jar is warm. Otherwise, your jar can explode or crack. So just keep that in mind. Let your jar warm up before you pop your sauce in. This jar is heating up beautifully, and we've got about 20 seconds left. Now, if you have any personal tips, tricks, recipes, or suggestions that you haven't shared yet, please do so. Jump in and share them there in the chat. I'm going to try apricot and rhubarb jam this year. That sounds delicious. Jams are fantastic. We often go blueberry picking around this time of year, and we make blueberry jams and coulis and things like that. And yeah, they're fantastic for gifts. All right, this is our sauce done. Yum. This is where I wish you guys could smell what's happening at this end. But here we have this beautiful caramel, almost toffee sauce. Gonna give it a little scrape around the sides and the bottoms. So it's very runny right now because it's still very, very hot. But as this sets, it will thicken up. You can see it there. It is absolutely delicious. If you've ever gone and bought a caramel sauce, maybe from a boutique or, one of those, a fancier restaurant or a candy store or something like that, this is the type of caramel you're getting. You won't buy this in the grocery shop. You won't buy this in Coles or Woolies. It is a beautiful, really homemade style caramel sauce, and it is absolutely delicious. Ice cream, on pavlovas, on cheesecakes, you can do nearly anything with this. It is really, really yummy. So this is my caramel sauce. I'm going to let it cool. But that is pretty much a wrap for our first silly season with a Thermomix. I hope that it has been a little bit helpful for you guys, particularly those who are going into your very first silly season. As we always say, we'd love for you guys to share. So if you've watched tonight, it's been all helpful, please tell your friends. Say, hey, this is going up onto YouTube. Have a watch. We want everyone using their Thermomix, getting the most out of them, and not having them sitting on the bench not getting used. So please share it with your friends so they can get a little bit out of it as well. Next week, we have probably our last Zoom for the year, and it is called TM6 Level Up. So we're going to get into the more advanced side of the TM6 next week. Have another look at high heat in some different ways. Have a look at some of the different modes. Maybe have a little look at how do we put recipes onto Cookie-Doo, how do we put our own recipes on, all of that more advanced stuff. So if you're brand new to Thermomix, it might be a little bit too much info for you, but jump on and have a look. And if you have a friend or anybody who, has had a Thermomix for a little while, maybe they're just needing a little bit of inspiration, or they need to get their mojo back, or that they're not using it to its full advantage, invite them along. It's a great chance for them to jump on and learn as well, and we love to have some new faces on. So a very, very big thank you to you all for jumping on. A massive thank you to Shannon for having your video done and jumping on here as well. We had Beck on a little bit earlier, and I see Elise is here as well. So thank you, guys. We are all part of our team as consultants. We're all here to help you. These are the guys working in the background there in the chat, answering your questions and sharing links and things like that. So a big thank you for jumping on. And yes, next week will be probably our last Zoom for the year. So make sure that you are there if you want to learn really the advanced side of the TM6, and bring along your friends so they can learn a little bit as well. But thank you guys very much for joining us, and fingers crossed, we will see you next week.